brothers and sisters. Every day, most people look for certain signs, especially if you are going to make a serious decision in life or even a choice, or you are thinking seriously about something. Most people always look for a sign from God. They ask God to send a sign of confirmation. It may be an external sign, it just may be an internal feeling of comfort. This is a practice of all religions also. As God's approval, they used to look for a sign. And in Israel too, they were making a list of signs to recognize them when the Messiah comes. And one of the most important signs they have taken from the prophet Malachi chapter 4, which tells that the prophet Elijah will return. So that was considered as the coming of the Messiah. And that's why the disciples asked Jesus today. The three disciples, Peter, Jacob and John, were with Jesus on Mount Tabor. That is today's Gospel's background. They are coming down from the mountain after witnessing the glory of Jesus, and they saw Moses and Elijah speaking to Jesus. So on the way down, they are asking, "Teacher, the scribes tell Elijah should come. Where is Elijah? If you are the one, the Messiah, then where was Elijah?" And Jesus tells, Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him. Immediately the Gospel says the disciples understood that he was referring to John the Baptist. Elijah was one of the most powerful prophets who lived in Israel. Early Israel. He was in the northern kingdom in the time of King Ahab and Queen Jezreel. And he is known as the fiery prophet. And his actions are described in 2 chapters of the book of Kings, 1 Kings 17 to 19, 3 chapters, 2 Kings 1 and 2, which is actually summarized here in today's first reading. By the Lord's word he shut up the heavens and 3 times brought down fire. How awesome are you, Elijah, in your wondrous deeds. You were taken aloft in a whirlwind of fire and a chariot with fiery horses. This is also one reason why they believed Elijah will come. Jews believe that Elijah did not die. God sent a fiery chariot with fiery horses, and he was carried off in a whirlwind, and his mantle fell down and it fell on Elisha, and he became the prophet. And that is the prophetic tradition of Israel. So they believed God took Elijah to himself, and he will bring back Elijah before the coming of the Messiah. But here the problem is, often we humans look for a sign which is according to our thinking, according to our expectations. Often God's signs come in a very different way. Only those who have faith, are open to God, and who see the whole picture can really understand. Actually, John the Baptist was exactly like Elijah. He was also a fiery prophet. He too had a lot of condemnation for their kings and their evil rulers. Only difference is that John the Baptist was killed by Herod, whereas Elijah was not killed by the king. But Elijah was also afraid of his death, and he was always wandering in the desert most of his life to escape from the wrath of the king. So he was also a prophet who suffered, but we only remember his fiery performances and miracles. And Jesus tells us the same will be the fate of the Messiah. It's not only his forerunner, but even the Messiah will have the same fate. He has to suffer and die. So here we find a major switching of the whole idea of redemption. Israel believed in a political, fiery Messiah, powerful king and a ruler who will conquer the entire world, and Jews will be the most powerful ones. Yet Jesus comes as a humble Lamb of God who sacrifices his life and establishes the kingdom. So what exactly is the sign of the coming of the Messiah? It's very interesting. The prophecy about John the Baptist says, he will turn the hearts of the fathers to the sons and the hearts of the sons to the father, which typically means reconciliation. So actually the coming of the Messiah is symbolized, and his presence is symbolized by reconciliation. And we know that is the fruit of redemption. Jesus died on the cross so that humans are reconciled with God, forgiving all the sins. Also mutual reconciliation, which he proclaimed as the love. So this is the path which God is inviting us to in this Advent season. Prepare for a Messiah who reconciles us, not a Messiah who fulfills all our worldly desires, passions, and all our needs. Secondly, suffering is the second sign of the Messiah. Any reconciliation, any establishment of any peace involves suffering. Pain and suffering is the path of redemption. Jesus said, unless a grain of wheat falls down and dies, it remains alone. Only if it dies, it produces fruit. So the Messiah brings a new life which we can attain only through dying. So very often people say, on the Christmas manger, the Christmas day itself, we see the shadow of the cross. And this is the reality of life. This is the greatest sign of life. Any suffering we have is actually the sign of God's presence. Let's accept it as the Messiah and not wait for the fiery prophet. That's a great lesson this Advent season is teaching us.